The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. I've taken the Gospel from the proper of the day, today being the feast of St. Boniface. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. A hired man who is not a shepherd and whose sheep are not his own sees a wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I will lay down my life for my sheep. Sisters and brothers, the Gospel of the Lord. So today we celebrate the first communion of our Vivian. She is special to us and to our parish community and certainly to the Lord. And that is why He would like to come to her in a very personal and intimate way. That's what First Communion is about. And that's what the word communion means, a coming together in love, in intimacy. And on this occasion, I'd like to pass on 3 words to you. The first being meal. You know, the Eucharist is a meal, and that is why Jesus would say, take, eat, take, drink. The second word is that it is a sacrifice, and that is why Jesus would say, my body broken for you, my blood shed for you. And we say, Jesus died for us. And sometimes when you see elders coming up for Mass, you will see them looking at the cross. The idea, the notion that the Eucharist is a sacrifice, and a sacrifice it indeed is. And the third word that I want to pass on to you is real presence. You know, when the priest gives you the body of Christ, what does he say? Vivian, the body of Christ. Or when he passes the cup, he will say, Vivian, the blood of Christ. And that's what it is. And that is why whenever we come into the church, what do? We genuflect. Or back home in India, we bow. Whatever it be. The idea that Jesus is here. He is really here. And that is why we call it the real presence. And so remember those 3 words. Meal, sacrifice, and finally, real presence. The first reading that Shannon proclaimed and the gospel that I did, they both speak about pain and persecution. But not simply pain and persecution for their own sake, but pain and persecution that is born out of love. And that is what we mean when we say that Christ made this sacrifice, or that the Eucharist is a sacrifice, all out of love. It's a pity that sometimes we choose to concentrate on the horror, on the agony, and the pain of crucifixion rather than the love that is in it. And that is what St. John would say, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. And Jesus the Son loved us so much that he would open his arms on the cross and say, I love you this much. And when he was at table the night before he was handed over to death, he would take bread, break it and say, my body broken for you. See the sacrifice? And then he would take the cup and say, my blood shed for you. And the following day, he is one man who would say what he does and does what he says. The following day, he would allow his body to be really broken for us and his blood to be shed for us, all out of love. We see that in families, with parents, with grandparents, taking on pain all out of love. Bearing the burden out of love. Putting up with inconvenience out of love. And so, when we think about the Eucharist as a sacrifice, remember, it is all out of love for you. For God so loved you that he gave you his only Son. And that Son loved you so very much that he would give his body as our food and his blood as our drink. And so, as we celebrate the Eucharist, let's be grateful to God for this love that he had. A love that wouldn't stop at anything, not even at crucifixion and death. For God so loved the world that he took on death onto himself for us. To that extent, he loved us.